Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 302. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
And what's going on?
Oh, more of the same.
Hey, I got that copyrighted. How dare you, sir?
All right, I owe you a nickel.
Actually, I don't have a copy.
Wait, where's my nickel?
What? Nickels.
Nickels. Thank you, Lucy.
Ooh, that's coming up too. But can we get through Thanksgiving first, people? It's not time for a Christmas tree yet.
What? No. I went to Target this morning. It's Christmas.
I got to get Michael's has Christmas trees 50% off, so I have to get there.
Get yourself a tree.
Yeah, I need a new tree.
I have my tree,
but it ain't going up till day after Christmas. Probably day after Christmas, day after Thanksgiving. So
yeah,
we'll see.
No, that's when I always put mine up after Thanksgiving. I do wait.
Yeah, me too. It's like, why rush things at this point? Yeah. This point in our lives, don't rush anything, please.
Yeah, we do that anyway.
Other than the inevitable end, I just that can come. But right now, just let's go. But we got a good week. We got a good episode we're gonna have here for you.
Yes.
You know, some, and we had some cliffhangers from last week we are gonna deliver on.
Yeah, we actually talked about something. We said, hey, we should talk about this next week. And by golly, we're going to do it.
Yes. So, you know what? Let's just jump right into it because I don't know whose internet might fail out on us first. So, let's do this.
Oh, geez. I can already tell this is going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be a blast.
All right. So, we're going to start with, right? And
yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So, the Sega Genesis Mini 2 or Sega Mega Drive Mini 2 was released on October 27th, I believe. We both got our copies of it. Larry is showing it off if you are watching us on YouTube. All right, first thing is, this thing is tiny.
It really is.
Like, fits in your hand tiny.
So, yeah, so here's a Genesis controller. Granted, it's the Switch version, but it's the original size of the original.
Yep.
Exactly. And there's the Mini, and the Mini is smaller than the controller.
Just about, yeah, not as wide.
Yeah, that's
the controller. Yeah,
it's a bit thin. So, yeah, this is. I mean, but it packs a wallop. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, again, thanks to technology, they can be this, this size, but inside this tiny little mini console, we got our hands on 61. Genesis, Sega CD, and a handful of Master System. Am I right?
No, not Master System. Just like newer games
and newer games. Yeah. I believe I played one of them actually.
I played while I was reviewing them. Yeah, and it's some interesting things.
Yeah, so I have to say, they definitely didn't. They didn't skimp on the titles.
Nope.
They definitely they offered a very well-rounded collection,
right?
So, yeah, so like if there was if you're a fighter, if you like fighting games, they're on there. If you like RPGs, they're on there. Platformers, there. So I just think puzzle games there. So racing games, they pretty much cover, they cover them all, which is really cool. And not only that, like they also built on what they did with the first one. So in other words, like the first one had a lot of like franchise favorites, so the original Sonic the Hedgehog and things like that, Sonic 2, Shining Force, things like that. So they didn't shy away from going back to those franchises because those franchises had such great sequels.
Yep.
So we got our hands on like Golden Axe 2, Sonic 3, Shining Force 2, things like that. So Splatterhouse 2, which made me happy.
There's three Shining Force games on the Mini too.
On this one, yeah. You got Shining in the Darkness, which was the original dungeon crawler.
Yep.
Shining Force 2 and Shining Force CD.
So there's about 90 hours, I feel like, right there of gameplay.
Yeah, there's a ton of that. Plus, on top of that, like if you're really an RPG fan, you also got Crusader of Senti, which is an RPG.
That's a hidden gem.
Yep, and Phantasy Star 2, which which is considered one of the best RPGs.
Yep.
One of the best so really, like, this thing packs a punch in terms of game, not only the number of games, but the quality of the games.
Correct. And not only that, but the games that they threw on there, it's almost like Sega was like, you know what, to the resale marketplace, to the eBay sellers, a lot of these games that you're selling for like $200 or more, we're gonna throw it on the mini for $100, and so people didn't just get the mini, get 60 plus games, and get those expensive games. I mean, Final Fight CD goes for a lot of money on eBay. Robo Alice or Aliste. I definitely, I spent 3 digits on that game alone.
Yep. Sylpheed also, right? Isn't Sylpheed?
Sylpheed was not as expensive, but expensive. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to think of somebody. Sylpheed. Oh, and oh no, it's not on here. Never mind. But nevertheless, just the quality of the games and the rarity of the games, like on the first Genesis mini, Musha, which is a shoot 'em up. I mean, an original copy of Musha, I don't have dollar amounts in front of me, but I just know, A, very hard to find, and B, because of that, it's going to be expensive, but it's on the Genesis Mini. And now here on this one, Century of Crusader, excuse me.
Crusader of Century.
Senti. I always want to say Century, Another tough one to find original. I think mine along with Musha are repros. So, which work fine. But again, Sega kind of knows, it's almost like they know their gamers. And they're like, all right, these are the games we're going to throw in there. And again, Final Fight CD alone for me was like, wow, the fact that they're putting that on there, because that's like the definitive version of Final Fight, short of the arcade.
Right. And not only that, you want to talk about, again, arguably some of the greatest games in a franchise, Sonic CD.
One of the best.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into gameplay in a little bit, because I think Sonic CD, though, might be missing something.
Okay. Sonic CD and Sonic 3 might be missing something. But yeah, just the
No, I know you're saying Sonic 3. It's Sonic 3D Blast is what's on there.
No, I thought Sonic 3 was on there.
No, Sonic 3D Blast.
Oh, Sonic 3D Blast. My mistake.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Mistake. There's Streets of Rage 3.
Streets of Rage 3. There are a few 3s on here.
There are.
There are a few 3s on here. At least I think there are. Or I'm just nuts. Anyway, but to your point, what you were saying about like the rare games that are on here, I like the fact that they're not shying away from that, because most people aren't collecting original cartridges anymore.
Exactly.
Majority of people don't have an original Sega Genesis. They're not gonna, and not only that, they're not gonna spend, $100, $200, whatever, on a game for an original console. So the fact that that Sega is going that extra mile to give people the opportunity to play these games, where it's like, hey, you know what, these games were great, and we know that they're rare and hard to find and expensive to find, so here's your opportunity to play them. So I think it's just an excellent, just great on their part, to put those games on there.
Like when the Nintendo, now, well, I guess it's unfair to say with Nintendo, but like when the Nintendo Minis came out, the NES and the Super NES, yes, there were a lot of first party titles on there, but Nintendo prides themselves, and they have great first party titles. So that was kind of wrong. But Genesis, especially again with the first one, we saw the outreach of those third party licenses, especially on the first one with Disney, which is like wild.
Oh yeah.
So, but on this one, it's kind of funny, because I think, like, to your point, is like you said, I know most of it is joking, but like there's a lot of 3s, there's a lot of 2s on here. I guess in a way, you might as well like represent the sequels to a lot of these games from the first mini, like Earthworm Jim 2, Afterburner 2, 2 Echo games on here. Though I guess there was an Echo on the first one. I thought there was, though. Now that I think about it. Oh, okay. Never mind. They're both Sega CD games. Never mind.
Yes.
So, and that's when you forget the Sega. It's Sega CD games are on here.
Yeah, adding Sega CD games on here to me made it really, really a must buy, because I was a big Sega CD fan. Going back, I don't know why. Because when you look at the games, like, and we'll get to that
Yeah.
when we talk about the games, like
You're right.
they are pixelated as sin. They are
Oh,
just
well,
so
that,
good,
yeah.
you know. So especially the ones that tried to run as like live action, or you know,
Sewer Shock.
like
Yeah.
yeah, you play Sewer Shark. It's like, I don't know how you're supposed to make out what's on the screen, but be that as it may, just I was a big Sega CD fan. I still am. I just thought there were a lot of cool titles on there, and they actually grabbed a good number of those solid titles
Yes.
in this collection.
Yeah, a couple of imported ones. I think Night Striker, I think it might be imported,
I believe,
if I
yeah.
remember correctly,
Mhm.
along with the Ninja Warriors. Again, only because I know it's very tongue in cheek now, but at the time was very controversial and everything. I'm not, look, I'm not a prude, so, but I just still am kind of shocked that they threw Night
Fooled
Trap
me.
on there. um,
Well,
you know that
Night Trap is one of the definitive Sega CD games.
it is agreed.
Yeah.
So, but let's get into let's get into the gameplay and stuff like that, and the
Mhm.
games, like how they play and stuff, like, especially the new ones,
Yep.
especially like these games that are copyright 2022.
Yep.
So what are the I highly doubt you've tried all 60 plus one games.
No, I definitely
Um,
haven't.
so which ones did you go to, and
Yeah.
what did you feel about it?
Okay, so the first one I went to, I had mentioned this because I had wanted to play this game for a really long time. It was on the Sega CD. It was Mansion of Hidden Souls.
Yes.
I definitely, like, that was literally the first one. I turned it on. I looked through the collection. I'm like, okay, I've always wanted to play this, so I put that in. And to be honest with you, because it kind of reminded me, it had the look and feel of Seventh Guest, which I absolutely loved on the
Okay.
PC. So I was expecting a similar experience with it.
Mm-hmm.
I only played about like 15 or 20 minutes worth of it. It's definitely, it has that vibe. It has a little bit of that Seventh Guest vibe until you find out, like, I guess, obviously it's supposed to be spooky and scary, but it's kind of aged down a little bit. So it's like you're walking into this mansion, you're chasing after your sister who runs into this mansion that appears out of nowhere.
Of course.
Of course, as mansions do. And then you run across a butterfly who starts talking to you. And I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, now it's already a little, yeah, basically just like that. And I'm like, the little white butterfly saying you're never gonna see your sister again.
Oh, sweet butterfly, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
What?
Well, see, I would have preferred the butterfly to tell me that. That would have been awesome. Because I mean, for some siblings, if you tell me I'm not going to see my sister again, I might be okay with that. So be like, oh, you did me a favor. I'm just going to leave now. But yeah. So again, it's first person exploring, trying to figure out. And again, one of the issues I have with the game, obviously, it's the pixelation. It's difficult, especially if you. I have a 65-inch screen TV.
Yeah, it's really going to show it.
Yeah, it shows it. Like some of these games, I'm pretty sure are going to be better played on a smaller screen.
100%.
And a lot of I would assume a good number of the Sega CD games that do have that realistic approach, like your Sewer Shark, maybe Night Trap. I didn't play Night Trap yet on it. Maybe better off on a smaller screen. Whereas, yeah, like a Shining Force or Sonic, perfectly fine on a bigger screen because of the graphics. So Mansion of Hidden Souls was the first one I attacked. Second one, had to try Splatterhouse 2. I love the Splatterhouse series. That one was just fun. I was really getting into that one. It looked great. It played great. There's really no there's no lag with the controls.
Perfect.
Which is great. Yeah.
Yep.
I love the fact that it's a 6-button controller this time as opposed to a 3-button controller. Just to throw that out there. And then I tried one of the special content games, because they added some of the special ones. So I thought I'd try out Super Locomotive.
I tried that too, and I guess it's just there's a learning curve with it. I don't know.
There's a learning curve. It took me a couple of games, before I figured out, these are what the buttons do and everything. So because I guess I didn't go into I didn't find that was that maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later, like the menu system and everything. But I
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
Super Locomotive. Seems like a fun game. You just got to get the hang of it. And then I did versus Puyo Puyo San.
Okay.
Also, just fun puzzle game. I love puzzle games. The only issue with that game is that because it's a versus game, when you play solo, I think it's just practice mode. Like,
Probably because, and
yeah,
then the computer will just kick your butt anyway. So
right. Well, that's the thing. I don't know. I got to go back and try it again because I didn't play it that long. I don't know if the versus part of it means that it has to be two
oh, I
players.
gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha. All
So
right.
yeah, so did that. Jumped into Sonic CD for
Hmm.
just for a board, a level,
Yep.
just to see how it plays. Again, everything I played or touched, even if it was brief, um, they all played really, really well, very seamless.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now let me ask you, Sonic CD, because I think I might just jumped ahead with it when I was playing. I just hit the start button. I don't remember hearing Sonic Boom in it.
No, Sonic Boom was
Okay,
not in the game.
which
In
is
fact, I was kind of excited because when I turned it on, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna hear Sonic Boom," and then it didn't happen, and I'm like, "Ah, licensing."
but that's weird because Sonic Boom is in the Sonic Origins version.
Yeah. Well,
So
but again, every time they release Sonic CD, every single time they put it on something else, they have to pay music rights.
no, true, true. I get it. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
and I'm just assuming that they didn't want to pay the music rights for it. That's all.
that's why you probably won't see Sonic 3. An all joke, all
Right. Well, yeah, Sonic 3 will all
that's
well, but they made a Sonic 3 without the licensed music.
that's what I'm saying. It would be different
Yeah.
music. Actually, and that's what Sonic Origins, I think, has different music.
Yeah.
That's all because of Michael Jackson.
Right.
But
Well, did you also
yeah.
notice that did you try the US and the European version on Sonic
So
CD?
that's the other thing I wanted to mention to you. So a lot of these games
Yeah.
have
Can
like
you
an
can you hear
option when you
by the way,
click into it.
can you hear the background here? The noise back here? Or no?
Oh, I heard a little something.
Okay. Yeah, because now, like as we're recording outside my window, I think they have decided to either chop up a tree or I don't know what they're doing out there, but they're definitely destroying something.
Because that's what you do on a Sunday. So
Yeah, I mean, what would you do on a Sunday morning besides destroy stuff outside? Absolutely. Anyway,
welcome, welcome back to New York.
hey. So
So
I'm
yeah,
saying
so
the US and the European version, did
exactly.
you try both?
No, I didn't. I just happened to see US and European. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I went into the US version. Was there a difference? Did you see a difference?
The difference I noticed, and I think either I'm right or I'm crazy. The music was different.
Little A, little B.
Yeah,
That's possible.
yeah.
That's
The
possible,
music was
which is
different.
weird,
Yeah, I believe the music was different on the two.
but possible. Yeah, no, other games that do that.
I'm gonna actually look that up.
Space Harrier. Is
Ah,
it Space Harrier? I think it is. Yes, because with Space Harrier,
mhm.
trying to think. Yes, Space Harrier 2 is what I'm trying to say. Remember, Space Harrier 2 is a new game that they made for the Mini 2.
Right.
And they pushing the limits of the Genesis and everything. But when you go into Space Harrier 2, you do have the option to also play the original Space Harrier. So,
Mhm.
again, also, I don't know if it's now this is either when you click on the game or if you change the in settings on the mini to like
Mhm.
European version versus American version or
Yeah.
North American. Uh Streets of Rage 3. You have the option of playing either Streets of Rage 3 or it's version bear. I think it's called Bare Knuckles. I think it's
Bare
called
Knuckles.
yeah,
Mhm.
3. So that's what's cool as well. Depending on whether you have the North American overlay or the Japanese overlay, it's also going to change the menu screen. And it does change a couple of the games. That's why it always says 60 plus.
Got
You know
it.
what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
60 advertised games, but the plus one being Space Harrier.
Yeah.
But it's very cool how they did that interchange. And I can't remember what the other game was, but there was like you click in and like just an option to play somehow. So very cool when you deep dive into the mini too.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And again, what was also nice about what I like about the mini too is like they have a Super Street Fighter 2 on it.
Yes.
and they gave you a controller that you can use.
Yes, unlike the first one.
Yeah, unlike the
Yep.
first one, you got Street Fighter 2 and a
Yeah.
3-button Genesis controller, which just makes no sense whatsoever.
That was weird, yeah.
But I think that, with the first one, I think they were trying to go with this is the original Genesis as it was released, so we're giving you a 3-button controller. But again, if you're going to give us games that need the 6 buttons, kind of shot yourself in the foot there.
So were there any other of the newer games? Like I tried that Star Mobile game and I don't know what I'm doing.
No, I didn't. I tried Super Locomotive and the versus Puyo Puyo. That was it.
Okay.
So
all right.
But there were a bunch of other ones like that caught my eye because I was looking at so many of the games and I'm like, you know what else I tried, which I've never seen before? Elemental Master. Did you try that?
Oh, I actually have again a reproduction of it.
Yep.
But I've played it before. Game is phenomenal.
Well, what I found funny about it is that it's a shoot 'em up, right? With a person.
Yes, so, no, exactly.
It's right, like because normally shoot 'em up, right? Normally shoot 'em ups, you're flying or whatever it is. Like I actually thought it was really cool to do a shoot 'em up where it's actually a person moving on the screen.
Oh, it was a great idea.
Yeah, I thought it was just a nice change of pace. I had never seen that before in a game, so I thought that was kind of cool.
And funny enough, I think that was the selling point for me when I saw it because I saw it in Game On, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And again, one of those games hard to find original. I have again a reproduction, but here it is, as close to the being the original version as possible, being on here.
Yeah,
so
now, I thought that was really cool.
I tried a handful of games. The go-to Sonic. Tried Outrun because that's a fun game that I've always enjoyed. Golden Axe. Some of the newer games like Super Locomotive, Star Mobile. Okay. I didn't try any of the Shining Forces yet because I know once I get in there, I'm going to be deep diving.
That I didn't touch them because I was like, I will. Yeah, well, that'll eat up like 4 or 5 hours.
I've beaten 2. I don't think I've ever actually originally owned Shining in the Darkness. I thought I did at some point. So if anything, I'll probably play that.
Shining in the Darkness was on the Sega Genesis collection. If you have that.
Oh, maybe that's where I played it. No. I mean, I thought maybe if I had it originally, I thought I had a cart of it.
Got it.
Which I don't. Looking at my collection now. And then Shining Force CD. See, here's my thing, and I talked about it before. With the Genesis Mini 2, a lot of games on there. A lot of the games I already own. So, like, I'm gonna save Shining Force CD. Excuse me. I'm gonna save to play on the Sega CD, like originally.
Right.
But Shining in the Darkness, I could definitely do. The Ooze, I haven't played it yet, but everyone always says like you either absolutely love the game, The Ooze, or you play it and you hate it. So it's very, very polarizing.
Oh, Toe Jam and Earl too. I played Toe Jam and Earl. That was fun.
I never got into Toe Jam and Earl. Any of them.
You're missing out.
Mario loves them. I know.
They're just fun. They're just fun.
And of course, Desert Strike. I had to play Desert Strike a little bit. Return to the Gulf.
Of course.
Still prefer the Super Nintendo version. No offense.
Yeah, but now
the fact that it's on here is awesome.
Your dad has something to play when he comes over, even though he has his own copy.
Yes, he does. That's what I need him to play. And then even a couple of games here kind of reminded me that I have the cartridges, like Truxton, which is an amazing shoot 'em up, and I forgot how good it is, and I forgot I have a copy of it. It's like one of the Retrobit re-releases.
Oh, okay. Cool.
High quality, don't get me wrong. But like I'm playing it on here, I'm like, why does this feel familiar? And then I look over, I'm like, oh, duh.
Like, I had it.
Yeah, totally. So, but nevertheless, it was a great lineup. Solid. Again, the menu screen, very cool. You sort it through, you change it between North American and Japanese, and it switches. But I haven't tried Night Trap yet. Curious because the Sega CD games are not like these games aren't remastered. They're just thrown onto here.
They just threw them on there, so they are what they are.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have Night Trap on the PS4. That's a remastered version.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit easier to see. But nevertheless, bottom line, I quite enjoy this system. I'm still, again, I am searching for, even though I know I missed out on it, I'll probably end up paying double. But I am searching for the Sega CD add-on, which is just a purely aesthetic.
Yep.
But that's why you have the little piece there that comes out, because that's
Yep.
what kind of hooks into it. Um,
What did you
but
think
in
of
the
the before we go on,
yeah,
a
yeah.
bit before, what did you think of the menu screens and the way like all of that operated?
Again, that's what I quite enjoy. Seeing the box art is always beautiful. The way, again, it changes between North American and Japanese, and then it changes the box art,
Mhm.
which I think is very cool, because TurboGrafx did that too.
Yeah.
TurboGrafx Mini did
Yeah,
that.
TurboGrafx Mini was one of the
Yeah.
best by far too.
The only thing I do miss out on this, that the TurboGrafx does do, is when you play a CD game, the TurboGrafx kind of mimics
Yeah.
the
The-
startup sound
yes.
of the CD, and it doesn't do that here.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a deal breaker, but it would be kind of cool to hear that with the Sega CD games.
Did you notice though that you can switch the menu screen from the box art to the spines?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes,
And I thought that was really cool
you're
because
right.
when you switch it, I was like, oh, I was like, you know what? I go, it is a little bit more challenging to read them. I was like, but it just looks
It
it
is.
just it just looks cool because that's how you would have them on your shelf. So
Oh, totally.
it was just kind of
Totally.
fun to see it that way. And then at the same time, when I was looking at it, me being me, it bugged me when I got to a Mega CD cartridge on the
Oh.
shelf because the box was smaller. And if I were to have them,
Oh,
I would
yes.
put them in size. I would alphabetize, but size order as well. So like the Mega CDs would go together, and they wouldn't be in the middle of the Genesis ones.
Fair enough. Maybe there's something hidden in the menu that you can move them around. Who
No,
knows?
I just thought it was fun. Well, and you can reorganize the games.
Mhm.
You can do them alphabetically. You can organize them by which ones you played most recently.
Yep. Yep. Year, I
And
think.
yep. And then I thought this was kind of cool. They also have they tell you how much time you spent on each one.
Oh, yeah. So that's too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little touch. So you know, like
Mhm.
just how long. Because a lot of times now when you play games, especially like on current consoles, like they keep track of how many hours you put into a game. So I thought that was kind
They
of cool.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool that they
Everything's getting
added that.
recorded.
And then I also liked when you select a game, it gives you the summary or the blurb
Oh, yeah.
for the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
and then obviously like you can cycle through those as well. So I just thought like I thought the menu system, I liked how they laid it out.
Totally. I agree. And then the only other thing, and again, it's just it's nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking. Don't get me wrong. On the front of the Genesis, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, the Genesis 2 was my first Genesis. I never actually owned originally the Genesis 1. Because by the time I got to Genesis, the 2
Yeah,
came out. It's a switch.
yes,
It's not a button. So that's, again,
not a button.
nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking.
Yeah, no, it was a slight change they did. That's all, and it's an
So
acceptable one at that.
why not? Why
Yeah.
not? So bottom line, not bottom line, but where would you rank then the mini with the other ones?
Um. Well, I was impressed with the first Sega
Me too.
Mini, so the Sega Genesis Mini. So, I actually thought they exceeded what they did previously. So I thought they did a really great job. If anything, I feel like Sega is taking the minis more seriously than other companies who just seem to be spitting out minis.
I
Where it's like,
I
all
hear
right,
that.
we're just going to throw, but people are buying these. Let's just create a mini.
Mhm.
I feel, I think that they put a lot of care into this one, and I do rank it among the like one of the best ones. Like you said,
Okay.
like TurboGrafx 16 might be my favorite out of all of them. Like I just think they hit a home run with that one on all
Mhm.
counts. Like everything about it, I love. Um, where and then if you look at the opposite side of the spectrum, Sony to me phoned it in on theirs. I think
Poor,
I'm very
poor
happy. I'm
PlayStation.
very happy I paid $11 for it.
It's not. It doesn't get its just due. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry for
I
the
just
PlayStation Classic.
no. I just feel like if you look the breadth of the minis that have come out,
Mhm.
that one to me is probably the weakest.
Okay, fair enough.
So, but but I gotta say, like the Genesis one, I might say it would probably be in like those, like it's like TurboGrafx, and then the two Sega ones are probably my favorites. Like I enjoyed the Nintendo ones. Don't get me wrong. I think they did a great job with both of them, the NES and the SNES Mini. I think they did a really good job. But when you look at them compared to these other ones, they're just kind of they feel a little bit more basic.
They are, and also they were the first ones. You know what
and
I mean?
And they were the first ones. They started the ball, and usually when you start it, everybody is going to build on yours. Exactly. Well, they're going to go one of two ways. They're going to build on yours, or they're just going to, like I said, go the quick and cheap route where it's like, hey, let's just spit something out and make it
like an At Games.
Yeah, like At Games' whole existence is that. So I'd probably put this like, as like maybe if I was ranking them all, probably second or third.
You know what? I agree with you. TurboGrafx definitely number one on presentation, and probably just the fact that neither one of us owned a TurboGrafx, so a lot of those games were literally new to us.
Well, that also helps too. It's like we're adding games to our collection we've never had. Again, I'm appeal to that.
I'm staring at my collection. I'm not saying half of this mini I own, but I would say at least a quarter of these games I have. So that was cool. But this I would definitely. You're right, 2 or 3. I don't know where I would put it, but definitely top 3. So overall, I think a success.
Agreed.
With the 2. Do they shrink it even more? Do we get remember the Genesis 3, the tiny one?
Yes.
That hooks up to nothing.
I just you know what? I just want one that's the size of my thumb at this point.
And that's where we're headed.
Microscopic, Genesis Mini.
If we do a Genesis 3, which I remember buying when I went to college because it was like $20 brand new.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see what happens. So, nevertheless, I'm glad that we enjoyed it, and it's definitely part of our systems. All right. Well, all we do is talk about the minis, but we want to hear other people talk about their minis, their consoles, that is. Where can they find us?
All right. You guys can find us on Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, on Instagram @RetroGamersPodcast, on Twitter @RetroGamersPod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube, or you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com. And Larry, if I remember correctly, there's something else that I'm missing because we added something to this little speech a week or two ago.
Well, it's more the YouTube Twitter. YouTube handle.
Oh, we have right. Our YouTube handle is now Retro Gamers Podcast. So @Retro Gamers Podcast.
At Retro Gamers Podcast.
Retro Gamers Podcast. So
us as well.
I got to add that into my little speech because I do this every week, and now we've added something, and it's thrown me off a little bit. But we definitely want to hear from you guys, whatever it is, any topic. If you want to talk about our topic of the week, we'd love to hear from you about it. If you want to talk about something else that we haven't discussed yet, let us know. We're always open to suggestions. And if you want us to play a specific game because you think we should, let us know. We're always open to suggestions, comments, questions, and critiques.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right. So, so far so good with holding on to topics that we said we were going to talk about from last week.
We are consistent.
I mean, granted, it's one of 2. So here's the second one.
No, you know what? At our age, I give us credit for remembering one.
To be honest with you, we
remembered both.
Before we started recording, I forgot about them. So, so what we want to talk about here, and what's funny is when I mentioned it last week, our friends at Limited Run Games kind of helped out the situation with the topic, because then all of a sudden they made an announcement.
Well, they helped us out twice because I finally got my copy of Shredder's Revenge.
That is true. That is true too. Did you open it up and did you get your Pizza Hut coupon?
I did not open it up because I have a digital copy of the game as well. And according to Jack, our friend Jack, the physical copy is actually already worth more than what I paid for it. So.
But it's a free Pizza Hut small personal pan pizza.
I know, but I don't like Pizza Hut, so I'm okay.
That used to be culinary cuisine.
It used to be a restaurant that we would go to.
It was a thing. Yeah,
it was a thing. Like we went there, and I was the idiot who didn't like their pizza sauce. but would always order the spaghetti and meatballs, which had the same sauce on it.
Awesome.
Oh,
Awesome.
children. Some of us are
um
dumb.
so last week I brought up the point, and again, limited run kind of put the exclamation on it. How long is too long to wait for a physical copy? We've, since probably the beginning of the show, like talking like episode 1, have always had our views on digital versus physical.
Yes.
Digital, I'm talking new stuff, new content.
Yeah.
I'm digital, Anthony's physical.
Yep.
And again, on my end, it has nothing to do with, physical, boo. It's more room. I just don't have the storage space. And granted, I do like the fact that if I want to like flip through a movie, I'm done one movie, I'm just go straight to another one or something. I can just, I just go right to it.
Right.
There's a bit of convenience there.
Yes. There's definitely convenience to it. For me,
yeah.
I like I like seeing it on a shelf, grabbing the box, opening the box, taking out the physical copy, putting it in, and knowing the fact that I own that forever. As long as I want to keep it, I own it forever. Digital is great, but then there again, the little fine print in there is enough to turn me off to wanting to own everything digitally. The whole idea of like, you own it until we don't have the right for you to own it anymore, and then we take it away.
But that's not really 100% true, because trust me, I've been doing this for a long time. Nothing has ever outright disappeared on me that I purchased. Case in point, the Simpsons arcade game and the X-Men arcade game.
No,
I boot up my systems, they're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
but didn't you have an experience where like some movies you purchased,
I thought,
disappeared from your collection?
No. I thought. And then when I went back and looked at it, I still have the physical copy. So I just never transferred it over. It was a Kevin Smith movie. I forgot which one it was, but I ended up coming across the CD when I was going through some stuff, which means I didn't transfer it over.
Got it.
So that's what it is. I've never, especially with a lot of these older movies, I've never come across them all of a sudden being gone after I purchased them. It's one thing if you're streaming, obviously, but and games, absolutely not. I've yet to come, and those are my two go-tos: Simpsons and X-Men. As long as those are still playable, you know what I mean? I'm still all in. But nevertheless, it's still, for me, it's still storage, because otherwise, you think the pop vinyls are taking up a lot of room?
Yeah.
Forget about what my DVD collection would have been.
Oh, no, that I understand too. I actually I didn't go the route of digital with my DVDs, but I actually did decide that I can't just hang on to the cases anymore. So
okay. That's the first step. That's the first step.
No, because no, it's not.
That's the gateway.
No, it's not the gate. It's not the gateway, because I have a lovely book. I have a lovely book with my collection in it, and that just works for me. So, or it's quite possible I still kept the cases and they're in a bin somewhere.
I hate you for that. You mentioned that once before.
Yeah.
And then shortly after you did that, I went through some games that I have in cases. I took the games out, and the cases are now in the back room.
Yeah.
The boxes are in the back room.
Well, because you're saving. Because here's the thing. I also think there's a difference between saving, space saving for what's out versus what's in storage. So in other words, I don't have room to put out my DVD collection. Hell, I don't have room to put out my video game collection. There's just no room. You know what I mean? It would be a giant collection. So I do have them stored away, but they're accessible to me. And with my DVDs, same thing, where it's like the cases are stored away because I don't need access to the cases. I just need access to the discs. And the discs are in one binder, ready to go.
One binder? Wow, I had like 2 or 3.
Good. Well, I've downsized on my DVD collection over the years.
This was not the topic we wanted to get into, but it's part of it. But I like
it's a little bit. It was a little part of it, but
I like where we went with it.
Yeah. So, but what we really wanted to talk about is games getting released in physically, and not only that, but there's like a delay, right? Sometimes it's a delay to a physical release compared to being able to download it digitally. And
and you go ahead, yeah,
as I say, and the perfect example to that was Shredder's Revenge. Teenage Mutant Ninja
exactly.
Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
You experienced it. This is
I
all you. This
Yeah,
is
no,
all, you know what I
this
mean?
is all me. So
Yeah.
like, so what happened was I pre-ordered Shredder's Revenge for PS4 or PS5, whichever one, um, off of limited run games. Because I didn't realize that it was going to be available like on Amazon as a physical disc. I thought limited run was doing the physical copy, and you can only buy it, and and the rest of it was bought digitally.
Yeah.
Um, two things happened in this experience. One, physical copies were available on Amazon, and all of my friends decided to get it on the Switch. So I contacted Limited Run. I had them switch my order from PS4 to Switch so that I would have the same copy. But they had said, originally it had said that it was going to be released in July, which is when the game came out. It was gonna be like maybe 2 weeks
August, maybe. Yeah, like early August.
It was only supposed to be like 2 weeks after the digital copy. So I'm like, all right, I can hang on for 2 weeks, no big deal. Lo and behold, 2 weeks became what? 3.5 months?
Almost July,
About
August,
3 months.
September,
About
October.
3 months. It became a little bit over 3 months before I got the physical copy. By that time, I had already purchased a digital copy of the game just so I can play it with everybody. Because everybody already had it. They were already playing through it. I'm like, I'm like, shoot, I go, people are going to play through it before I get a chance to even get the copy. So I wound up buying a digital copy of it. And then over 3 months later, I finally get the physical copy. So, and that begs the question. I'm like, how long is too long to wait for a physical release?
Exactly, because they just announced recently that they're doing the pre-orders for Shredder's Revenge exclusively for the PS5. So now they're doing the pre-order for a game again. What are we talking? 3.5, 4 months later.
Yep.
Like, do you as a PS5 owner, would you be sitting there? To your point, like some people want to get right into it and start playing it. Other people could probably wait, but do you even know if it's going to come out? Like Shredder's Revenge, yeah, a lot of these games, like newer games, you got to, and especially because Limited Run is starting to do PS5 games and starting to do Xbox games. But they also, for example, this is not Limited Run's fault, but I'm just saying, Limited Run just announced a physical copy of Konami's arcade classics.
Yep.
Now, this was the first of the three Konami Classic Collection. Well, now 4 classic collections that have come out: Arcade, Castlevania, Contra, and then the Ninja Turtles.
Right.
Is Ninja Turtles even available right now physically? Oh, it is. I think it is.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is, because I don't think they went through. They didn't go through Limited Run, but nevertheless, this collection, I don't have in front of me, but I feel like this collection came out before the pandemic, because this is how life is now, pre and post pandemic.
Yes.
So what? 2019, maybe 2018. Collection comes out. It was like $20, $15 or whatever, and it kind of just made sense that it would be like just digital only.
Yeah.
But to someone who's a hardcore collector as well, and a hardcore physical media collector, there was never no announcement of like, oh, down the road we'll do a physical copy.
Right.
I mean, again, years later, at least with Contra and Castlevania, they were still like months apart, maybe a little longer than that compared to the digital. But like, I mean, how bad and would you want a game? Perfect example. Well, no, actually not anymore. But I was gonna say Bill and Ted, because that's no longer now available physically.
Right.
Now we're kind of waiting for it digitally. But how long would you wait for a game? Like, do you just try and hold out for the best? I mean, if you really wanted that arcade collection, you had to have been like, I'm not saying you personally, I'm just saying you had to make the conscious effort to be like, I am not buying this game, even though it's $7 on sale for Black Friday. I'm not buying this game until if it comes out physically. And then lo and behold, it does. So how long would you wait?
Well, I think
not for that, but
in general. I think it's relative to the game. And here's why. The same way I explained with Shredder's Revenge. The reason why I wanted a digital copy is because my friends were playing it and it was a multiplayer game. Because it was a multiplayer game, specifically, that's the whole appeal of that game, right? You play it with your friends.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I bought the digital, I caved and bought the digital copy, because I'm like, I want to play this with my friends and they're playing it now. For single player games, I have no issue waiting. And the reason why is, one, I have a backlog of games that I want to play anyway. So it's not like I need to play this game right away. So I can wait for a physical copy. However long that may be. If it takes a few months, I'm okay waiting a few months, because I like the idea of having the physical copy in my collection, and I have other stuff to play until it gets here. It's not like I'm sitting here saying I have nothing to play. Let's face it. I've got too much to play as it is. I'll never finish all the games I have in my lifetime now. So I have no problem with that delay. But if it's something that I know everybody is going to be playing together, that's where I got to draw a line. That's where I got to be like, you know what? I go, maybe it's not worth getting a physical. Like, to be honest with you, if I could have canceled the limited run order, I would have for the physical copy, because I bought it digitally. But again, I'm not that hardcore of a collector where I feel like I need to own every physical copy of a game. I'm not that hardcore of a collector. But if the option is put in front of me, I will go get the physical one.
But but also at the same time with that, if there's no indication of, because a lot of games come out strictly digitally,
yes,
and there is no physical copy. But again, like in this case for the arcade shooter, it came out of nowhere. Like you figured if limited run went to Contra and went to Castlevania, you know what I mean? Like you figure, skipped over the arcade because Contra and Castlevania are bigger names,
right?
As opposed to arcade shooter. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's treat time, and I'm ignoring her.
Mine's sound asleep. Thank God.
Yeah, she just woke
finally.
up. She wants her treats.
So like that's what I'm saying. Like if it's a game you really want to play, do you hold out for the same? If there's no indication of someone saying a physical copy is coming down the road, Splatterhouse 5, for example, comes out and it looks epic. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, do you go, all right, well, I see no news about a physical copy. Like, do you maybe do you give yourself a grace period? Like how, again, because I'm going digital. So
yeah, no, I don't.
Your idea.
If there's no indication that a physical copy is going to be coming out, I'll just buy the digital copy.
Okay.
I mean, you can't predict the future. You don't know what's going to come out on. And let's face it, there are so many third-party companies now that are putting out physical copies. It's just a matter of time before everything comes out physically in one way, shape, or form. But because I can't predict that, I'm not going to wait for it.
I got Cuphead. Cuphead's another great example.
Yeah.
Cuphead was strictly, and they were like, this is digital only.
Yep.
Strictly digital. And that came out definitely before the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
And, we blink and all of a sudden there's a physical copy finally coming out.
Yeah.
From I Am 8-Bit. Same company where I'm getting.
Yeah, but again, at that point, it's like, and then it's also a judgment call. So like the Bill and Ted was a good example, because like,
and that's going the other way.
Yeah, if I have a fondness for the game, so like even if it's a digital, like if I only own a digital copy of a game, but I really enjoyed it and I loved it, and I know maybe one day I'll go back and play it. For those reasons, I would consider buying a physical copy because of how much I enjoyed it.
Okay, that's fair.
So, but again, if it's something where it's like, okay, I have a digital copy of Cuphead, I enjoyed it, I don't see myself going back and playing Cuphead again, there's no interest for a physical copy, at least to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only reason why Bill and Ted was appealing was because I wanted the damn soundtrack.
we both missed out on that. You'd have every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, because Tuesday usually like when games update and games drop.
Yep.
Every Tuesday I go on and I was doing this beforehand, but now more than ever. I would go on the Switch, go on the eShop, and go to Coming Soon. And I just scroll and I'm like, come on, Bill and Ted. Come on, Bill and Ted. Still nothing yet.
No. But then, again, thinking back to it, it's like I love those movies so much that it makes that game appealing, but the game is
Totally.
terrible.
And remember, it's the
terrible.
NES and the Game Boy, and I did buy the NES version.
Yeah.
Both games are terrible.
Yeah.
But who knows? Limited run sometimes, they'll usually put like a backlog of games up for a little while. I have a feeling if that happens, we're both pulling the trigger.
We might. We just might.
So, all righty. So, that's where we're at right now. Curious to see what other games will magically come out physically. But nevertheless, very good. I like very interesting ideas, very interesting thoughts. Speaking of which, of another game that is available both physically and digitally, game that just came out, neither one of us have own it yet, so neither of us has played it. Atari 50th anniversary.
Yes, that I don't want to say it slipped under the radar for me, but I honestly did not. I wasn't paying attention to when it was being released. So.
Me too. It kind of well, again, it's another situation where looking at the Switch coming. I'm like, oh, there it is. I forgot about that. It's coming out. So what system? Because it's coming out on everything. What system you think about getting it for?
I mean, most of what I play right now is on PS5, so I would think I would lean that way, unless you tell me there's an online multiplayer component to it. If there's not, then there's no reason to think about like getting it on the Switch.
I gotcha. I thought about the Switch. My go-to has been Switch, unless the game is supposed to be like a 4K game. Then I'll go Xbox. I hate to say it, but mostly Switch. But it's Atari, and I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna get an Atari game based on the 50th anniversary of over 100+ games, not for the Switch, not for the PlayStation, not for the Xbox, but for the one schmuck who pre-ordered and received the system, might as well use it for what it's worth. I'm waiting for it to drop, and it will, on the Atari VCS.
Of course you are.
And this will probably be the biggest, both as far as size of the game and price. The game's only $40, don't get me wrong. That I own for the Atari VCS, because everything so far has been very cheap.
Right. And the question is going to be, how many of those games have you already bought on the VCS that are in the collection?
To be fair, not that many.
Okay.
Though they did drop Atari 7800 games on there for they're like $4 each. Okay. So and I think at the time they were on sale for half off. Like I have a small collection of games on the Atari VCS. I did buy though Atari Mania on the Atari VCS.
Yes, I know you told me that. Yeah.
And I'm so happy I did, because I don't think it's going to do it for the other systems because the controller is not available. But when you boot up the game, it'll actually tell you, hey, you should play with this controller.
Very nice.
Like specifically. So I'm like, sweet. And yes, playing through it, and it is very much the WarioWare of Atari, or the NES remixes.
Yeah, I love those NES remixes.
Very fun. So first of all, Atari Mania, well worth it. That one, purchase. But as far as multiplayer, I'm going to tell you, at least between me and you don't have to worry about it for the Atari 50th, because I am going VCS on.
Yeah, then I'll go the PlayStation route with it.
But you're right. Actually, now that I think about it, I do own Atari Volts 1 and 2. So that's got to have a lot of original games in it. And I have the Antstream Arcade, which I use through the Atari VCS, which, fun fact, is now free. Atari Antstream. You can pay and you get some perks, but otherwise it's free. You get like limited plays a day, but how many times are you going to play? Right. So everyone, still check out Antstream Arcade. It is amazing. So yeah, I'm actually excited and waiting for a game specifically for the VCS, and of course it has to be digital.
Of course it does.
It's only digital. So,
all right, very cool.
So we'll see how that one goes. And then finally, we got some pretty cool news about something that's dropped or will be dropping soon. Do you even still play GameCube, out of curiosity?
Do I? No. Should I? Yes. Mostly because I still have to go back and play Twilight Princess on GameCube.
Gotcha.
Even though, wait a minute. Did it come out on Switch yet? I think it did.
Twilight Princess, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I did.
well, then never mind. No, I don't play my GameCube.
So this
No,
is
that's not
probably
true. I'm lying. I have to
oh,
finish.
how
I have
dare
to
you.
finish Luigi's Mansion. I have to
Oh,
finish
okay, there
Luigi's
you
Mansion.
go. So just recently announced, and I definitely got in on it because I love it for the PlayStation 1. 8-bit dough, 8-bit
Yep.
do, 8-bit do has released or will be releasing their Mem Card Pro GameCube. Basically, it's their memory card. I have here the PlayStation 1 memory card.
Yes.
Oh, I'm loving using this camera. This camera's way better than the other one. And what's awesome about this is that it takes SD cards.
Yes.
So what is this right now? So this is a PlayStation 1. This is a 16 gigabyte card. I am pretty sure this is the equivalent of like 20,000 PS1 memory cards or something.
Yeah, so basically you never need another memory card for your
Never
PS1.
again. And what's cool about these things is they run off the power of the system. So like there's no battery in here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little screen on front that will
Yep.
light up when you boot it up to tell you if it's reading, if it's writing. When booted up, it's Wi-Fi enabled, so you can actually move saves.
Nice.
Like if you download saves or whatever. Yes, Link, I'm telling you, this is the way to go. And just the fact that, and it's, I don't know, don't ask me why, but it was weird because when I got this, I started playing PS1 games more.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Maybe it's just because it was in my head. But like these small memory cards for the GameCube, and there's definitely a ton of GameCube games that I enjoy. So getting the Mem Card Pro for GameCube just basically gives you unlimited storage, essentially. And again, it's just well worth it, worth the purchase, worth the buy. I highly recommend it, I should say. So, of course, everyone can find out for yourselves.
Yes. I mean, me, honestly, I never filled up the GameCube memory card that I currently have, so I don't think I need to worry about it.
I've already lost mine. I've lost a bunch of them. Yeah.
I still have mine.
That's the other thing why I love this. It's all in. Even if you have current memory cards, you can move them over to this.
You can just move them over. Yeah.
So that's alone.
I would probably think about getting the PlayStation one only because I have like 6 of those that I filled up.
And granted, don't get me wrong. It's not like you put this into the PlayStation. I'm sure the GameCube will be the same. And then you have like 20,000 slots.
Yeah.
You have to cycle through
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, does that work? Does that work for PlayStation 1 only? Does it work for PS2 or no?
No. So no, it will work for PS2, not the slim version though.
Okay, the original.
The original PS2. It won't work for the slim, and there was another. Oh, I think like you have like a modded. No, that's not true because this thing is like designed for modded PS1s. Definitely not the slim PS2 because yesterday I had a little issue by PS1.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, it wasn't booting up. So let me put this because I wanted to play Gex. Let me put this in the PS2, and this wasn't booting up. I'm like, oh man, tell me this thing's broken.
Yep.
But then I looked into it, and yeah, wow, someone's being needy.
No, my cat is telling me we need to wrap up the show.
All right, we're going to be wrapping it up anyway. But yeah, no, it won't work for the slim, but it will work in the regular PS2.
Yep.
So if you want to consolidate your memory cards, these are the way to go. Nice. And I've already ordered the GameCube one, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, very cool.
I got the GameCube one in white. This came in a whole bunch of different colors.
Very cool.
Other than that, I think that was it. That's all I wanted to mention.
All right, cool.
I'm probably forgetting something. So
yeah, no, I think we're good. I think we can wrap this one up.
All right, let's bring it in. Ant, where can they find us?
You guys can find us on Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, on Instagram @RetroGamersPodcast, on Twitter @RetroGamersPod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube @RetroGamersPodcast, and you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com.
Yes, reach out to us, tag us, add us, whatever you want to do, especially on YouTube now. We're getting all that going. And with that, we'll call it a day because otherwise Ant's cat's going to kill him.
That's right. Treat time.
All right. Ant, have a good week.
You have a good week as well.
And we'll catch you everywhere next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.